think I paid £1.70 a foot. I think when I bought the tree it was 6 foot tall. I asked him if I could have the bottom half for a discount, but no, I had to pay full 6 foot. I could trunk chop it all the way back here, then sphagnum.
It's 26th of August now, and hi, it's Xavier, and here I am, basking in the sun, getting to the late stages of summer, and you're going to get to see sort of a good 2 years worth of progression of an English elm
that I dug up from a field-grown nursery. I dug it up 3 years ago. I think I paid £1.70 a foot. I think when I bought the tree it was 6 foot tall. I asked him if I could have the bottom half for a discount, but no, I had to pay full 6 foot. Brought it back, I think it's 3 years ago now, and chopped half of it, and it's been sitting in. It's quite a nice soil, but there's a nice roots developing there. You can definitely see that. But there's definitely a good growth there, and when I put it in the pot 3 years ago, there was basically 3 roots. So that's good. And then just to show you sort of 10 minutes later, you can see a lot more of the root structure. I've got it down to nice clear defined roots underneath. Reasonable. I mean, I've no doubt that I'll have to prune this again in another couple of years, but that's certainly enough to be putting into a new training pot. You know, there's very basic lattice work structure on there, very two-dimensional, but I haven't really looked at the development on the upper part yet. I'm more concerned about developing that. So that's the repot of the English Elm, Yamadori English Elm. The reason why I selected it was because it had a really thick root section there, and I thought, oh, that'll be wonderful. Truth is, I've got an option here. I could trunk chop it all the way back here and let that little thing grow, except I have to look at that and go, that massive trunk, and then how long will it take that to grow to even vaguely match the dimensions of that base? This is one of those occasions where I don't think there's much of an air layer up here. Slightly dissimilar branches there. Either take it literally on the cusp of it or further down, and then look at developing branches here. So that's the decision. Because I've got growth here, I can always later on chop some of these back and get a little bit of three-dimensional. But the problem with this tree is very, very two-dimensional. Obviously with the air layers, the same as always, I've got a great section of my Bonsai Basics where I go through air layers in detail. For the purpose of this, sphagnum moss, rooting hormone, tin foil to cover the clear plastic that I'm going to use so that we don't get algae build up. I'll ring bark it, probably about 1.5 cm, 2 centimeters, and then I'll also be using a tourniquet around the top there to just help that root production and try and discourage any bridging. And obviously bridging occurs when the top half of the tree manages to skip over the bit that I've removed and still supply nutrients, and you get this bridge which stops any other roots forming. All the edges have been cleaned up. You've got a nice cut edge all around here, and normally that gap is 1.5 times the thickness of the wood, so I probably could have gone down a bit further. So the reason why I didn't is because I've got this great big knot, and that's always harder. Brush some rooting hormone around it. I'm going to give it every opportunity. I like to use a tourniquet. Then sphagnum. Enough moss around there that hopefully you can see where the tree will be. Okay, well that's on. All I do now, I've got the foil in place. Just a nice little bit of wire just to ensure that the foil doesn't get blown off, which is what I found happened last year. We get loads of wind in this garden. And hopefully we'll be looking under the cover first week of September, and we'll be seeing some roots. If it all goes horribly wrong, I'll trunk chop back to here. I'll leave this, feed it heavily, and hopefully this little thing down there will just be allowed to go.
and I'll let it go for 2 or 3 years and see if we can get some thickness on it. Well, welcome back. It's it's 26th of August now, and well, you see the full autumn colour has come on this thing, on the elm now. So the leaves are coming off. Okay, well, got all the weeds and stuff out of there. Well, I'll show you the base, or the potential nabari, when we look at the bottom once I've separated, but we really need to have a look up there now, so let's get this wire off, shall we? Okay, the big reveal. 3, 2, 1, and I don't see much rootage in there. And when I say much, I don't see any.
Oh dear.
Calluses have been forming there. Oh! Well, a root down there is no good, is it? Let's be honest. Why are we getting roots there? Blowout above, but it rooted down below. Okay, certainly didn't expect roots there. I was never, well, you'll have already known, I've never been 100% convinced on this, but probably I should have worked out that with all that red leaf going so autumnal so quickly, suggested that there was no water going up there. If I'm really honest, for me, although I can see a potential twin there, I could probably pick something up this November or December when I go for a dig, which will already have the features that I want. So I'm actually more interested in what's lower down. What we have got now is this. Much more manageable height, potentially a nice tree to come from this, and especially when you have a look at that nabari. That is actually a lovely wide base. Continue to develop roots. If you look closer here, there's a nice green bud there. You're going to have a bud coming from this point, although it's slightly on the inside of a bend, and there's a few more smaller nodules that I can see. I love the way the bark corks up on this elm. So really, knowing there's budding there, healthy roots, got a good base, I wonder, now if I turn this upside down with those roots, would it grow upside down? Now that's an interesting experiment. I guarantee most of you know the answer to that, but I don't, so I'm going to plant that this way round. So I've got it in there, and what I will do is just seal off the top a bit. Okay, go on then, in the comments, yes or no, will that root normally? I've basically upended the trunk so that the roots it produces at the top are going downwards. Don't know, is it like a plumbing doodah where it only goes one way? Should we find out? Okay, well that was a bit of fun. But now, what I do want to do, oh look, a bit messy there. All I want to do here is to stop it drying out, and then eventually as this gets stronger and bigger I'll be able to cut a lot further back. But hopefully, you see, if that bud there goes off that way, this bud goes that way, then that's the basis of my new tree. And obviously I think you'll recognise we're looking at a little bit, probably 2 years of unhampered growth. I'm satisfied that I don't need to do anything more. I'm satisfied I'll get continued roots from here, and I would imagine if we look at this I'll probably look at it next May or something like that. I won't do any pruning in the spring. I'll wait until it's all hardened off and just see just how much extension we get. Could be quite interesting. Thanks very much for watching the progress of this Yamadori English Elm, and hopefully it's encouraged you to go out there for your dig trees, but also help you to recognise the sort of time scales involved in various operations. This has been dug up 2 years ago now, I think, and I'm only now just starting to be looking at developing this. So with that in mind, if you're thinking, do I really want to go through that delay? 2 years ago I could probably have cut this at that height, or down to 8-9 inches, and would have already had a lot more growth coming from it. I've darkened. That's because there's a horrible monster cloud coming. So, from Xavier, with an experiment in hand, I'll say, thanks very much for... Can I see you anymore? Thanks very much for watching. All the best. God bless. Cheers.